Bonjour les élèves de français. Today you are going to be taking notes on l'accord du participe passé. Before you continue, you have to make sure that you have a really good solid grip on what a participe passé is for regular ER verbs, IR verbs, RE verbs, and then all of those irregular ones. You just have to make sure you know them, otherwise you will be lost for this. So, stop here if you need to, just refresh your memory on what participe passé are, and then come back to this. So, in French, this past participle of verbs conjugated with avoir must agree in gender, so that's sex, and number, whether it's plural or singular, with the direct object. This is the thing that we're directly doing something to, that we are writing, that we are putting somewhere, etc. So when the direct object comes before a verb, then we have to have the agreement. The things that is very new for us here is we've never had to make this agreement in the passé composé when our verbs are conjugated with avoir. If you remember, it has only been the passé composé with être. It has only been our reflexive verbs. And if you think about our reflexive verbs, they do have a similarity here. So let's look at some of the examples that we have for this session. We have no agreement in the passé composé if that direct object comes after the verb. So for instance, j'ai écrit une lettre. If you look at une lettre, that's our object. That is what we wrote. Here is our verb, j'ai. And this word écrit, we have to get used to seeing that as not our verb, but as simply le participe passé. That's a past participle. So it really is not what we're considering to be the verb. It is this word right here. It's the form of avoir. So this is a very normal looking sentence for us. We've seen them like this all the time. Nothing wrong there. But now, let's look what happens when we want to say, I wrote it. If you remember, we would replace une lettre with the word la, and we would put this in front of the verb. This is why I said it's so important for us to know what the verb is, because we are going to put it in front of this form of avoir. That is our verb. It's the word that is conjugated to match our subject. So, look what happens here. Je l'ai écrite ce matin. I wrote it this morning. Here is our direct object. It now comes in front of the verb. This L apostrophe refers to la lettre. So, je l'ai écrite. Now, we don't necessarily need to use these direct object pronouns, le, la, or les, in order to do this. Let's show you an example using the relative pronouns here. Voilà la lettre que j'ai écrite. So, here's the letter which I wrote. You notice how here is our verb. What did we write? We have to look for it sometimes. It's over here. It's la lettre. So here we're making it agree. Another example here for the plural. Tu as reçu mes lettres. If you notice, no agreement because this is what we're asking was received. So it's after. But again, if we want to take mes lettres and say them, then we would ask tu les as reçus. Or if we want to build a construction similar to the second one of our first example here, ce sont les lettres, the word les lettres is still there, que tu as reçu. So they're asking, are those the letters which you received? And you notice, here's our verb, a, les lettres comes before that. Here's our last example. Elle a acheté des timbres. And you would say she bought them. Elle les a achetés. We have that agree. Here we have voilà les timbres qu'elle a achetés hier. So we still have the word in there, but it comes before the verb. If you're having trouble connecting with this information, think back to when we learned about our reflexive verbs. Words like laver and réveiller, especially laver, that's not really a to and from motion thing. But if you remember, we would say je me suis lavé by itself. We would have just agreement. I would put another e at the end of here. But if I said je me suis lavé les mains, I washed my hands. It's the hands. So if you were to write down both of those sentences and look at what got washed, you'll see that in the first sentence without les mains, it does agree because I'm the one that got washed. In the second sentence, it's my hands. They come after the verb. So that is why the second sentence would have no agreement. So I'm going to give you 5 sentences to try to write the correct form of the passé composé in, and actually all you need to provide is the past participle. You don't even have to give the form of avoir because that is given to you. Write these down. You'll pause, you'll write these down, and when you're ready to see the answers, you'll just click play again. And there you go. So we see why they all agree, and we'll be doing some activities with these en classe. Merci les élèves. Au revoir.